Hello, everybody. I joined the coordinator, the moderator, and the vice chancellor in welcoming everybody to this webinar. I'm going to be speaking on university mandates and its delivery in national development, and it's in line with the objective of the series. But first, let me acknowledge that the vice chancellor is able to create the time to be part of this panel. I think it's a good thing that it's kickstarting the program. I also acknowledge Professor Segun Ajibola and Professor Ekide. Good to see Professor Ekide again. I remember we were here together before he en route to other lands, but it's very much welcome back. Mr. Tope Togun, I understand will join us later, and I think he's going to add a fresh and industrial perspective to the discourse. Is somebody who is so committed to the idea of performance, especially in terms of university contributing innovation to industrial development. I applaud the IFE Development Policy Network, and I hope that this can turn out to be IFE Development Policy Dialogue Series as a branded program of OAU, not just the policy network only. So I think Mr. Adebayo Professor Adebayo will take that off the Vice Chancellor later. I can see the Vice Chancellor nodding already in agreement. And before I leave that, let me just say that Professor Segun Ajibola used to be in the old Intercontinental Bank when it was really blooming. And he was on the negotiation when we were negotiating for IFE Business School at that time. So it's good to see him on this program. I think between himself and Professor Ekide, Mr. Vice Chancellor may want to make sure that the OAU Business School comes back to life. So let me go on quickly then to the business of the day. Let's just quickly imagine a poor country with natural resources that only has 2% tertiary education enrollment as at the time of independence, and the GDP was just about $1,000. Now, let's imagine where will this country be if it focused only on basic education and not built universities at all. We may be talking about Brazil or South Korea, and I want you to guess which one we are talking about. You will find out that we are talking about both countries, but we'll see the differences. And this is to explain the difference between poverty and wealth of nations as affected by the quality of their human capital, the universities. You can, I hope you can see the graph. Both countries became independent around about 1960. And you can see the trajectory of development. The blue on top is South Korea that has soared to become a highly developed country. Brazil is in the light green, and you can see how far it has gone. Of course, both countries have universities, but you see the differences very soon. The red line there indicates what will have happened to South Korea if it has faced only primary education, it has not developed universities. So the gap between the red and the blue is the difference of human capital because of the universities and their contribution to innovation and development of South Korea. Now look at the progression of the commitment to education by the two countries. South Korea in the 1960s, you see, more resources were going to primary education, that's the red line. Just 2%, 2.6% to university education. But by 2010, you can see the ratio now. More resources to universities than to primary education. You can see the difference between 2000 and to development. On the other side, the ratio is there. Now, look at the number of active sites in research and development. From Brazil, you can see that most of the active scientists are in the university system. If you add to research institutes, you'll be getting almost 76%. But in South Korea, most of the scientists are in farms, small farms. You know, some are in the university because they still have to be, doing their research. But the innovation that contributes to development comes mainly from the smaller farms, and you understand that from this next slide. On the left is the innovation ecosystem, where people feel that it's research from the universities and the big companies that contributes more to development. But it has been shown that the startup ecosystem, you see the big something in the middle, is the greatest contributor to innovation. That is research that contributes to national development. The big companies only facilitate, everybody facilitates to help the startups and MSCs to develop. So what that means, you can see it in terms of patents. Both countries started in 1985, the ground zero year. Brazil was 39 patents, South Korea 50. But as of 2011, see, for patents that are officially filed. By the way, Nigeria is just about 88 patents as of 2013. You can see clearly that without much ado, universities are agents, they are the drivers of modern development of nations. And that is the mandate that universities are supposed to be. So we try to break this down further. I've covered universities as drivers of national development, but let's drive that down by looking at the mandates as we understand it. We look at teaching output, research output, community service, and I'll show you something about IFE, and then universities and the SDGs, a new way of also seeing the mandate of universities. And universities are now being ranked with the SDGs, and then we can conclude. So why do nations need universities? And what makes universities great? We are not going to treat the second question here because of our time. That is what universities need to equip themselves. But what is the purpose? What is the mandate of universities? Now, there are so many factors that contribute to how a university can become great. Salmi in 2009 has decomposed this to these three major areas, the big cycles: concentration of talent, abundant resources, and favorable governance. As I said, we are not going to what makes a university great today. We are only looking at what are the indices of university performance, and they are in the internal loops. The quality of graduates, number and quality of graduates, research outputs, and technology transfer or knowledge transfer or community relationship. In the middle there, you have what you call world-class universities that has a balance of each of these components. So you can summarize this into two major mandates: producing a critical mass of high-level manpower with requisite knowledge, skills, and competencies for the nation. That's the quality of your graduates, who must be agents of change in society. They are the people who will drive the development sectors in the in the school. They must enjoy their teacher. They must enjoy their teaching. They must feel that they have taken something away. And that is what makes people shout great IFE here and there, because they have the nostalgia of being here and they want to remain committed. 5 P's: publications, for those in the humanities, the arts, and so on. We talk of prototypes, products, and of course, policy. A lot of people don't know that contributing to policy is a very, very important function of the knowledge system. Most of our emphasis is on publications, publish or perish, and this must change. We have seen the difference between Korea and Brazil. It is the innovations from the knowledge system that will shape the country, not simply just the number of publications. Our publications, our research output must be turned into innovations and knowledge and products that will change the way we run our businesses and so on. We have a number of challenges, very little spent on research. We don't spend much. Thank God that TED Fund is giving us some money now. Otherwise, the country doesn't believe in research. There is weak link with the industry, weak patents, as we have seen. Now the picture there, you can see South Korea is the one that's very tall in the middle. Nigeria is almost invisible there. And I say that's 88 number of patents that we have as of 2013. So the third aspect is the community service and civic engagement. And this is in terms of innovation and impact. And it captures the outreach and our stewardship to society. Ability for university to be able to solve problems of society, problems of hunger, health problems, and so on. And COVID-19 has revealed that we are just not very well prepared for these challenges. I mean, teaching has ceased. Not much research is going on, though the research that is going on, there have been some outputs, and the NUC has captured this in the compilation that I think should soon be out. We have tried to see that as if we let people know that universities should not just be ignored, even in solving the COVID problems. All the committees that are formed, I mean, they don't look to the universities, and that is the traditional wrong way of running this economy. And until we change that attitude, until we regard the universities as the agent of development that must be paid serious attention, things will not change much in this country. I mean, South Korea, we were comparing with Brazil. Nigeria was much better than that country in the 1960s. See where they are today and see what they've done. It is because of their commitment to the knowledge system. And we fail to see that. So the Times Higher Education is employing matrices based on the SDGs to do this assessment, and we'll see that later. Let me quickly move on because I know the time is, this will be available and people can read it later. Effective knowledge transfer is very important, and there are several things where that can be done. Industrial ventures, industrial development centers, incubation centers, startups and MSc, industrial parks, knowledge parks. Universities have to create this bridging organization, not just university alone with government. There must be the tripartite, the triple helix way of doing things. Now, OT, financial system, games, data analytics, and so on. And you can see the young men who are behind this. You can see a sense of pride, a sense of fulfillment. This is what we have to do to the young ones. These are the futures of the country. It is when we energize them and they don't take after the life of the hush puppies. That's when we can solve our problem. If you don't give them good things to do, they become hush puppy and they will continue to disgrace the nation here and there. Boys and girls, not just men only. And you can see some of their products. These things are manufactured, they are produced there, right there. And the one on the lower right here, that's the signature system for signing into meetings that we are now using both in the faculty and I think also in the Senate. So this is the potential. We can build on this. We should do more of this and make a difference to society. Believe me, they are into financial systems and they've done such a lot. So just quickly, universities and the global challenges, that's the SDGs. There are 17 of them. We've run 69 sub-objectives. And the UN Secretary General says, a life of dignity for all. That, I think, is something that everybody should buy into. Either you are in a developed or non-developed country. But this is even more applicable to us. I mean, to eradicate poverty, a carryover of MDG, and then get private sector more involved. I mean, that's the whole picture. Those who have received the WhatsApp message from the Vice Chancellor will know that this is on his DP to show his commitment to the SDGs. Right. But universities have to be more progressive and group things into integrated systems. I mean, not just working. I mean, all the SDGs are integrated. They are linked. So you create the integrated system, sustainable cities, sustainable agriculture and rural development, climate change, green energy, biotechnology, nanotechnology, social and environmental safeguards, because you are able to nest different departments, different bodies of knowledge working together. And that is the trend today. And I want to appeal to our universities that we must cultivate the habit of working, not just in silos, as we have been doing, keeping things to ourselves. No, that is, knowledge must be shared so that it can expand. So we have to learn to work in systems groups and produce, I mean, research outputs that will lead to innovations that will develop our systems. So, under the SDGs, you can revisit the mandate of the university. We have said skills development for graduates, and we said knowledge generation, the research, and uptake. In between them, there are these silent functions that are there that are very, very critical to national development and institutional development. Institutional development and capacity building. Even when they are graduates, they must come back to be re-educated, to be given, I mean, they must learn new things that are coming out of our research. So we talk of continuous professional development for everybody, the professionals and all. And values and citizenship skills is something that this country needs now. We must change the current orientation of our citizens. They must have hope. They must believe in themselves. They must not believe that the people ahead of them have destroyed the nation, they have wasted all the money, and so on and so forth. This, you can see, all the SDGs are involved in these 4 aspects of the university mandate. So universities have a commitment to make to eradicating poverty, inclusive development of education, gender equity, and so on and so forth. So that table gives a full summary of that. And as I said earlier, the Times Higher Education is now going away. Well, they still keep them, but they want a more functional assessment and ranking of universities. And this is to be based on the 3rd function, which is innovation, outreach, how are we impacting on society in health, in education, in gender, in industry, and so on. And the SDGs are, I mean, there's nothing better than them, and the indices have been developed. So this is what I will say for now, but if you get to Times Higher Education website, you can get more details. And it is a system of validated self-assessment. A university submits data on all this, and then they try to verify and validate, and then they use that in ranking the university. So it's not a question of somebody just swooping on you from the internet, collecting data, either that is not there or that you are not aware. So no, you submit and then you take part, and so you can respect the result that comes out. The one that is done in 2020 at some Nigerian universities, Covenant and LASU. You'll be surprised at LASU, but LASU is beginning to do some wonderful things, and they find themselves in that ranking. So this is a very useful way, so that, and we must then walk back into our system and tie this to our performance assessment system for academics, for everybody. So people should not just do these things and they don't get the credit for it. Of course, from patents, from products, you have to be rewarded, but also as part of community service. So that's what I have to say. The rest is just conclusion to say that universities have never been more crucial to national development than today. If such nations and states are to be competitive, they need their university sectors to produce and apply knowledge, and to produce knowledgeable and skilled workers across the spectrum. Universities must therefore be funded and accorded recognition, and in return, they must not be found wanting in responding to these crucial needs that will determine their local relevance, social value, and global competitiveness. that's about the summary that I will give. The rest is just how can this be done by focusing on research uptake and innovation, just as explained for OAU. But if you want examples of universities that are doing great in the world, look towards Stanford and the Silicon Valley. That is a symbiosis that has changed the world. And look at what is going on in South Korea. So I think I'll stop there so that other panelists can have their time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that brilliant presentation and insightful points on the mandate of universities in development process.